The project sits half-finished on the desk. The book lies open, untouched after the first chapter. The gym membership card is barely used, and yet the intention was there, clear, strong, promising. And still, nothing reaches completion. It's a familiar pattern for many. Starting is easy, exciting, even, but finishing? That's a different story. It's not laziness, not lack of skill. There's a hidden psychology behind why some people can't bring things to the finish line. Understanding it reveals deeper truths about motivation, attention, emotion, and even self-perception. One profile can be called the shiny object chaser. Imagine a mind constantly drawn to the new, the novel, the exciting. A new hobby, a new app, a new project. Each one brings a rush of possibility, a burst of dopamine. Psychologically, this reflects a heightened sensitivity to reward anticipation. The brain craves the initial thrill of novelty more than the slower, sometimes tedious process of finishing a task. When the novelty fades, motivation drops, attention shifts, completion becomes secondary to stimulation. For this type, starting isn't the problem. It's the inevitable dip in excitement that makes finishing a struggle. Then there's the perfectionist initiator. Some people struggle to finish not because they lack interest, but because they fear the work will never meet their standards. Every step feels measured against an ideal, and when progress falters, frustration grows. Psychologically, perfectionism triggers a conflict between desire and self-criticism. The mind equates finishing with judgment. If the end product is less than perfect, it feels like failure. Avoidance becomes the safest path. Better to leave a project incomplete than to risk imperfection. Here, incompletion is a shield against potential disappointment. Another profile is the emotionally drained or overstimulated type. Picture someone juggling multiple responsibilities, demands, and pressures. Even with good intentions, energy is limited. The brain prioritizes urgent or emotionally salient tasks over others, leaving projects unfinished. Neurologically, this involves executive function and cognitive load. When the brain is overtaxed, sustaining attention to long-term goals becomes difficult. Finishing a project requires cognitive endurance, a resource that is often depleted before the finish line arrives. For this type, incompletion is not a flaw. It's a sign of capacity limits, priorities, and competing demands. Then there's the procrastinator with delayed reward sensitivity. Some individuals naturally struggle with delayed gratification. The benefits of finishing a project are abstract or far off, while the immediate effort feels heavy, unpleasant, or boring. Psychologically, this reflects lower tolerance for delayed reward and higher sensitivity to present discomfort. Starting provides immediate engagement, but sustaining effort toward a future payoff is harder to maintain. Motivation wanes, and the project stalls. Here, the brain favors short-term emotional ease over long-term accomplishment. There's also the avoidance-driven type. Sometimes, starting is a way to feel productive without fully committing. Tasks that are emotionally charged, difficult, or tied to fear of failure are initiated but not completed. The incomplete state provides a paradoxical sense of control. It allows engagement without the consequences of completion. Psychologically, this is a defense mechanism. Leaving things unfinished can reduce anxiety, protect self-esteem, and delay confrontation with potential failure. Completion might trigger judgment, accountability, or irreversible outcomes, risks that the mind instinctively avoids. But here's the twist. Chronic incompletion can coexist with talent, intelligence, and creativity. Many people who struggle to finish are brilliant starters, innovators, and visionaries. They generate ideas, spark projects, and create momentum, but the follow-through may falter. Their brains are wired for exploration and initiation, not necessarily for routine closure. The challenge then is not to eliminate starting, but to understand the psychological patterns that make finishing difficult and find strategies to bridge that gap. Several approaches can help. Breaking tasks into smaller, tangible milestones allows reward signals to maintain motivation. Structuring environments to reduce distractions can counter novelty-seeking tendencies. Cognitive strategies like reframing imperfection as progress reduce the paralysis triggered by perfectionism. For emotionally or cognitively drained individuals, prioritization and realistic goal setting are essential. Acknowledging capacity limits without judgment allows energy to be allocated strategically, making completion more feasible. And for those sensitive to delayed rewards, immediate incentives or public accountability can provide the motivational boost necessary to sustain effort. It's also worth noting that the mind is rarely uniform in these tendencies. Many people experience a combination of profiles: the novelty seeker with perfectionist streaks, or the procrastinator who is also emotionally overwhelmed. Understanding the interplay between these factors is key to creating strategies that actually work. Finishing isn't simply a matter of willpower. It's about aligning motivation, emotion, cognition, and environment in a way that supports sustained effort. So, why do some people consistently struggle to finish what they start? Often, it reflects sensitivity to novelty and reward anticipation, perfectionist tendencies and fear of imperfection, cognitive or emotional fatigue limiting sustained attention, difficulty with delayed gratification, anxiety-driven avoidance and self-protection. Not laziness, not lack of ambition, not moral failure. It's a window into how the brain balances desire, effort, risk, and reward. A complex calculus that often goes unnoticed until the unfinished projects pile up. Recognizing these patterns allows reflection rather than self-criticism. It encourages strategies that accommodate natural tendencies rather than punishing them. Completion becomes less about forcing willpower and more about creating conditions where finishing is psychologically supported. Which profile resonates? The novelty seeker, the perfectionist, the drained multitasker, the delayed reward sensitive, or the avoidance driven? And how might understanding these tendencies change the way projects, goals, and ambitions are approached? By exploring the psychology behind starting and not finishing, it becomes possible to view incompletion not as a flaw, but as a signal, an insight into motivation, cognition, and emotional life. Finishing is possible. It requires insight, strategy, and self-awareness. But most importantly, it begins with understanding why the brain resists closure in the first place. Once that resistance is acknowledged, the path from starting to finishing becomes clearer, more intentional, and surprisingly attainable.